Hey, hi everybody. Hi Todd, Katie, Cassandra, Tracy, Bill. Bill's looking a little dark. Mary Elizabeth. And to people on YouTube, hi. Um, so I hope everyone's staying cool. Um, I actually found it's pretty nice outside in the shade. Um, yeah, when you get in the sun, it's a little something else though. So, so for this session, I'd like to um, focus on um, hands and feet and what the role of hands and feet specifically is in Qigong. And Cassandra, I would really like to hear your view on this maybe afterwards, because you're an energy healer and you use your hands to feel and transmit energy, and that's one of the uses of qigong is for healing, and so the idea being that the qi, the energy, the life force energy, can be felt and identified and channeled and expressed, and so it can be expressed as a healing um, tool. It can be expressed for self-defense, and the real masters at Taiji can project energy, and this is not just myth. This is my personal experience. They actually can do it. There aren't a lot of people out there who are trained that much to do it, but they can push people away without touching them. Um, and that all the expressive qualities of the energy come through the hands, and so that the hands are they're at the boundary of the physical body and the rest of the world, right? And the fingers, those are like connections to Indra's net, so that they connect to everything in the universe is connected. So it's like the branches of a tree, and then it connects to the air and the sun and so on. And uh, let's see, I want to mention, a couple things about the hands. So there's what my teacher Trisha Yu calls the Lao Gong point, which is right here. You can touch it just by bending your fingers in the center of your palm. That's actually considered to be kind of one of the dantians, two of the dantians. And then there are those points as well in the feet, behind in a similar place in the foot. So behind the balls of the feet toward the center of the foot, there's that same kind of place. Um, and those are called the bubbling wells, because they're the connection to the Shen, to the earth energy. And that's why when we do Qigong, we almost always keep our feet flat on the ground, to be rooted, to be connected down into the earth. So the feet are sort of for the mountain quality, the stability, and then the hands are more for the directing or expressing of the attention. And if you're uncomfortable with energy, it can just be attention. So if you point at something, you're directing attention toward it, either yours or somebody else's. So we're directing that kind of thing. And consciousness is a form of energy, and attention is a form of consciousness. So it amounts to the same thing. How am I doing, Cassandra? Is that pretty good so far based on your experience?
Well, I'm learning quite a bit from you, Stephen.
Well,
But as far as this point, certainly, absolutely, yes. I didn't know that they were dantians, but yeah.
They're not exactly, but they're kind of similar. And so
Well,
in Buddhism, there'll be an eye in the hand.
right, right.
And that's to see inside. My daughter was an energy healer. It still is. And she could use her hands to sort of look inside the body. And
Yes.
so there'd be an eye. Does that make sense?
Uh, yes, in fact, at the fingertips too.
The fingertips too. Wow. Wow. Like
But
a
this, yes.
like a fly. I mean, it's got a complex eye, right? Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Thank you. So we'll be doing movements of postures and meditations and so on, and I'll just suggest focusing on hands and feet and how those parts of the body contribute. Okay. All right. So you notice just what I do, but you don't have to do the same thing. But when I do this with the hands, and this is just a little abbreviated version of releasing, just letting go. And it's actually it's parenthetically it's Trembling Mountain. Okay, so it's the whole thing, but it's just in the hands. But it's the same thing. Okay, so I usually do that, um, and then to actually look at your feet and plant them. If you're a gardener and you plant garlic bulbs, so you plant them, right? Um, and my friend Rosebud teaches about 10 points of contact on the feet, which are the five toes, and then the heel, and then I guess the balls of the feet. I wasn't taught that, but that he talks about that. And what other teachers have talked about is to activate the bubbling well. So just, in other words, just feel that part in the foot, just behind the ball of the foot, and similar to the hand, right there. And if you're an acupuncturist, all of this will mean something to you about where the points are. I am not, so I don't know. But at any rate, it's about being grounded and stable. And so we can't go about expressing with our hands, our fingers, our mind, without first being rooted to the physical. It's very important. Now, the feet are heavy and they're related to the out breath. So when we breathe out, our attention goes down, and then we can extend it with our mind down through the feet and down into the earth, sort of as roots into the earth. And then the in breath enlarges, fills the body so that we can then express with the hands or with the upper body. So in beginning or in doing standing meditation, which is what this is, we focus on the feet. So it's actually the feet, the knees, and the hips. So we feel the feet, the bottoms, particularly the bottoms of the feet. Then we check the knees, and the knees just need to be soft. That's all. And then the hips, there is a very, very slight sitting motion that's about to begin. So, this is exaggerating, like you're sitting on a bar stool or something. But even when you're standing, there's a little flex in the hips. So it's feet, knees, and hips. And if you want to, of course, you can sink down more. This is a standing posture too. Bend the knees a little bit. And my teacher, Tricia Yu, says, if you look down, your knees shouldn't stick out beyond your toes, because then you're stressing them. So you can sort of bend your knees a little and kind of sit down a little bit. And that straightens your spine. So with all the standing postures, they begin here. This is standing position 1, and this is standing mountain. But the body is the same, more or less. The arms, with standing 1, the arms are, it's a little bit of bend here, but essentially the body is the same. And then that's why it's the first posture. And then if you're going to do the 5 standing postures, the next posture brings in the arms. So we're expressing with the hands, but see where they're pointing. They're not pointing outward, they're pointing toward each other. So this is embracing the tree, or embracing the heart, or holding the moon, whatever you want to call it. But this is an enclosed circular posture. Now, this is very much like the circulatory system of the veins and the arteries, and even the capillaries. So the blood goes through, and as it filters through, it actually goes into this capillary system, which is these fingers, and then it's on its way back to the heart. So this is the circulation of the energy, life force energy in the body. That's what this posture is doing. It's making it obvious and conscious. And then you can recapitulate this just by with your breath. So breathe out, breathe down and around the one arm, and then at the pause, it leaps to the other, and then we'll bring it back through the other arm. So you're breathing in a circle. So out breath goes through one arm, in breath comes back to the heart through the other arm. Okay. So that's the second position. And then if we move up to window to the moon. Now this is, so the hands here are receptive. So this is a window to the moon. So we're connecting to the light of the universe, but really the source of the light. But we're not expressing, we're receiving. Okay. So we breathe in here, breathe in the light of the universe through the palms and through the third eye. And circulate it, and then express it down into the earth. So this is directly involving the hands as the receivers, and then the bubbling wells, the feet, it's going out the bubbling well down into the earth. And then you can breathe up from the earth if you want to, through the bubbling wells, express out through the hands. But in this posture, this is a window to the moon. So this is receiving. Okay. And these palms will start tingling and getting warm. And then next one, so this is so window to the stars. So this is again, this is receiving, but it's straight down through the crown of the head. And this has to do with Buddhist and Taoist cosmology. So this is actually, we're actually embracing this column of light from the universe down through the body, down to the earth. Okay. And then as we go into the next one, so that now the arms go out. Now this is a gesture of connection and expressing. So you can imagine stroking harp strings, connecting to the net of Indra, connecting left, right, front, back, up, down, all around, like the branches of a tree. And then the last posture is here. So this is different from the other one, that actually we're receiving also from the earth. These are like bubbling wells in the hands in this position. Okay, so let's from here, let's go ahead and continue with tree and spring. So beginning of tree and spring, now we're pointing, and pointing is very important. We're expressing attention down. So our attention drops down through the arms, out the fingers, and down the body and out the feet, and down into the earth. We use our mind to extend our sense of touch into the earth. Everything's directed down and out breath. Okay, and so this begins now with an in breath. Now the fingers are pointing to the body, the center line of the body. As we come up, we just breathe naturally. We're lighting up the dantians, or the chakras if you prefer. We're lighting them up by pointing at them. Then when we get up here, we point up. And this directs our attention up, and we extend not only our attention, our imagination, our feeling up, 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 way up, connecting to the light of the stars and the source of the light. Okay, and now good, as we spread out now we're spreading that. This is very intentional all around. Okay. And then here, the light of the stars goes down to the earth. Okay, and we point down. Then you wait for the next in breath, or you wait till you want to go up. And begin with an in breath, and then pointing to the body. And here you turn the eyes inward so that you're looking into the body, sort of the front of the spine, lighting that up as you go up, 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 up. And then shoot it way out and feel that, extend your feeling way, way, way out. Good. Okay, good. And then when you're ready, do the third one. Now, this, with the hands out, this always reminds me of a dandelion that's gone to seed. It's kind of like that. Okay, very good. And then just come back to standing. And then just notice sensations in the body. Okay, now let's see what happens with tree in autumn. So before we start, just feel the feet. Okay, so we'll start with an in breath. Now here, we're gathering, aren't we? This is a gesture of gathering, extending out. We're not extending out, we're gathering in. We embrace that, the light of the universe, and then come down. Now this time, the palms are pointing down. It's like we're pushing all of this life force energy down through the body. Pushing, 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 and then out the feet. And then the hands then turn, and then let's repeat. So we're gathering, look up. Okay, so we're embracing this column and gathering the light of the universe. And now as we bring the hands down, the eyes follow the hands internally. So we're bringing all of this down through the body. And then out the feet, and then extend your sense of touch, extend it beyond the body down into the ground. Okay, good. And one more. This is sort of gathering. And this is filling every cell of the body with the light of the universe, and then all the way down. And then just notice how your hands feel. And now we'll often do this gesture. So lower dantian and middle dantian. And the bubbling wells of the hands, the Laogong, are pointing toward those centers. So the lower hand, the palm of the hand is a couple inches below the navel. And the upper hand, the palm is opposite the sternum. So here the hands are kind of acting as a conduit. And now, just as an experiment, now try placing the hands on the body. This is another version of that posture. And now we add the element of warmth. The Qi is often described as tingling and warmth. So this is more intimate. And now let's pull the hands away a few inches. Now there's still a connection. It's an energetic connection, not a physical touch. You want to be a little careful about hugging chi masters. A lot of times they don't want you to. It's too intense, and you can feel that. You can move your hands away and toward you, and you can feel this connection, and you can, if not, you can imagine it. You can extend the feeling. You can feel the connection in the body, uh, and being able to feel this without actually touching. This is becoming sensitive to the presence of the energy, the chi. A lot of energy healers will not touch you. Or if they do, that's very careful. Okay, very good. Okay, go ahead, loosen up, break your stance a little bit. So once we're established in our stance, the feet it's pretty simple. They're connection. They're our connection to the Shen, to the earth, to the ancestors, to the life force energy, um, that's what you would say unrefined, but it's just natural, just present. But then the hands do many different things, don't they? So if we do cloud hands, and once again, you can imagine a string connecting the two palms. It's the palms that are important here. And of course, the lower one is the lower dantian, the upper one's the middle dantian. But there's this connection here. Okay. So clad hand. So we're going to turn in the direction of the upper hand. So turn, switch, turn. Now the hands are always remaining the same place relative to the torso. Okay. So we're not moving our hands around. We're turning our hips. Then we switch. Now, this is the classic movement. But I encourage you, to just bring some joy into this if you want to. And then it kind of loosens up. And we are moving the hands. This is expressive. Okay? In the other one, the hands they're connective, they're open. This is more expressive, isn't it? It certainly feels that way. Okay. And then let's go back to the classic. Good. So this is just like holding the moon. This is circulating the chi and then switching left and right and up and down. This is very fundamental because yin is left and yang is right. And yin is down and yang is up. So it just means we're balancing all the polarities. Okay. In Buddhism, discriminative thinking means there are two opposites and they're interacting. And the awakening nature of the Dharma is to subsume or transcend those opposites so that it's one flow. And that's literally what we're doing here with this movement. Left becomes right, top becomes bottom, we're playing with yin and yang. We're playing with the opposites, aren't we? So we're moving. That's what creates the movement. And now let the attention get very big all around the body. So all this movement is just, it's happening in this space, in this time, and we're aware of it. There's part of us that's not moving. It's just knows. It's just aware. So this is a profound Dharma teaching, just in cloud hands. Okay. All right. So let's reduce the movement and then come back. And then you can play with this a little bit. Trisha Yu calls this pulling taffy. She can feel this, stretching the connection between the hands, and you can do it, all different directions and different ways. And um, so, but as far as cloud hands, then reversing, okay, and then in this position, the upper hand, this is the with the heavens, boundlessness. The lower hand's the earth, form and formlessness. Okay, so now our attention is directed outward, up and down. Okay. So as we turn, now when we're switching, this is what it teaches it. This is affecting the outer world. This is not so much directed internally. This is the light of the stars goes down to the earth. The energy of the earth goes up to the light of the stars. Balancing this dance of yin and yang, of form and formlessness, of birth and death. All opposites create this dance, this movement. That's all. This is the heartbeat. This is the in-breath and the out-breath. This is reality. So we're balancing it. We're harmonizing this, what seems to be this separate self, with the outside, with night and day, and male and female, conscious and unconscious, everything that is. And we're just sort of one with it. One with the breath. You do this with the breath. You do it slowly or faster. And it's totally fine to lift up the heel of the unweighted foot. It doesn't mean that the feet have to be rooted 100% all the time, because we're shifting and turning. Okay. All right. All right. So let's come back to the original. And let's go into diagonal flying. Now this time, the lower hand will become the upper hand. And then come back. And now the lower hand shoots up, diagonal flying. This is very expressive. But you notice it comes back to the center every time. We don't focus too much on the one going up. We focus equally on the one going down. So you notice all of this is about balancing yin and yang, left and right, movement and stillness, up and down, front and back. It's participating in this dance of opposites, and in so doing, balancing, harmonizing. Okay, let's reduce the movements. Okay, so what this Qigong is, this is the Dharma. This is this deep philosophical system that's expressed completely in the body, practically, in a grounded way, not an abstract way. And by doing these practices with awareness, we're internalizing the teachings of the Dharma. Okay, good. So we're back down to the feet, the lower body. Now let's go to a very expressive hand one. And so that's flying crane. And there are many variants, internal, external. So in this position, this is just connected to all that is. This is, of course, the crane is floating, and you can extend, you can feel your hands and extend that feeling way out the fingers, and then up through the head, down through the feet, all directions. Okay. So if you turn, you're describing kind of your personal space, sort of the space around you. Okay, so we're in touch with that. And then we come down. Okay, this is the basket, and this is another way to do this. Flying, expressing. Okay, pointing down and then bringing up to the lower dantian. We're bringing up and then expressing out all directions. Bringing up. All directions. Top of the head, bottoms of the feet. Good. Now, so now this one, we're bringing up to the middle dantian. Out in all directions. Okay. Lower dantian. Out in all directions. Now you can come down in a couple of stages. Just do this any way that you want to. So another variation on this is to touch the two fingers to the thumb. So it's the crane's beak. So at the very most expressive moment, now we're touching and circulating that in the body. That touching the thumb and those fingers, that's the sitting mudra. Okay, now as you develop this, and this is based on the feet being stable. Now, if you want to, you can go up on one foot. This relates to a Tai Chi kicking movement, but it's also just the ability to be balanced. Okay, very good. Let's come back to touching heaven, touching earth. So here again, so embracing the heart, this is the synapse. Um, this is the connection holding the moon here. This is the way the brain functions too, is that there'll be a spark of energy between 2 points, the synapse. So this is an internal movement. Okay. So now touching heaven, touching earth, now we're pointing. We're pointing, not only pointing the hands, we're stiffening the arms a little bit, which makes it even stronger. Our tension is going up, 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 and down, down, down at the same time. You can do that. And it brings attention to the still point between up and down in the heart, probably. And you find that you can extend your attention way, way up and way, way down at the same time. And all around. And now we're going to bring that back, the heaven and earth. We're going to bring that back to the heart again. Okay. And now, again, we're stretching and pointing and extending, connecting all around to all consciousness, all around, all the life force energy around us, particularly behind us. Extend, extend. And the still point in the middle is the heart, isn't it? And then bring that back in. And then switch left and right. Extend. Up it comes down. Giving and receiving. Gathering back, circulating in the body, touching heaven, touching earth. Extend. Circulating in the body. Stiffen the fingers just a little. Extend. Okay. So there is a still point in the middle in the heart. And then there's all this movement around it. The still point in the heart is empty. And there's no separate self because we're all extending all around, up to everywhere. That comes rushing back into that still point and goes right through it and extends out. So the whole body mind just becomes this kind of this empty sort of, I don't know, vortex or something through which all of this is flowing. Let's do one more on each side. This feeling that you have is something like non-self. Okay, let's go ahead and sit. Okay, so the feet are flat on the floor. We know that. And what do we do with the hands? So you can do the crane's eye, dragon's eye mudra like this. Or you can place your hands palms up or palms down. Or you can put them together in kind of a Buddhist, some sort of a Buddhist one hand holding the other. And whatever you choose, just notice how that feels. Okay, so just use the breath to remind you of any of the movements we've done and just feel them. Okay, let's take a few more breaths. And then slowly move your extremities a little. Okay. All right. Let's clap our hands together one time. 1, 2, 3. Make heat and massage the face. Okay, and then tap the kidneys. Massage the kidney. All right. Thank you so much for your presence. Thank you for your practice. And if you'd like to stay to talk a little bit, that's fine. Otherwise, have a good week.
You, Stephen.
Okay, let's do gallery. Okay. Okay.
Nice
See
to
ya.
see you.
See you, Bill. Todd, enjoy your
Bye.
soup, salad, whatever it is.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mary.
Yes, Stephen, thank you. I really enjoyed that. Well, energy component and the energy experience of doing these positions, these postures, because it changed everything for me. It's like now I can really have this experience, the energetic, full energetic experience doing the postures. So
Mm,
that's just how it works for me. It's like, oh, this makes sense with
mm-hmm,
all of this touching into Indra's net and all of that.
mm-hmm,
So was really enjoyable.
mm. Yeah, good. And so what did you think of the yin and yang part of that? I mean, do you feel like when you're doing your practice, with a patient, that you're balancing yin and yang, or how would you describe what you're doing?
I wouldn't say yin or yang. So what I'm experiencing is their chakras and their energy fields. So, being in their emotional body, for example, in the mental body, the spiritual bodies. And so there's a sense of moving energy around and balancing those out. So
Balancing out you mean the different levels?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So for example, and I'm searching more for um obstacles in the chakras than that um can can be seen in every level.
I see.
And and then it all blends together, of course, but it depends on the person and what I'm working with. But if I see a second chakra that's really glommed because of fear and just stuck emotions. People get corded there, then I can get in there and clean that out and then balance out the energy field. So then I'm moving around, I'm moving from one chakra to the next, balancing and doing that. All in, I mean, not quite like it's a layered cake, but that's how it works energetically as I'm moving through it, where my hands are points of light, usually fingertips and palm, and I'm moving down and bringing up like that. I'm doing the same thing, but just a different name, you know,
Yeah, and you're doing it with another person.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting experience. It's very different than me experiencing with myself.
Mm.
You know, I'm learning more about Qigong, and I really wish I had learned Qigong in energy healing school. It would have been very useful.
What was the sources of the teachings in the school that you went to? Did they consider them Hindu, like Vedic, or did they consider them Taoist or shamanic, or what? How did they?
You know what? I don't remember. I studied with someone who went to Barbara Brennan's school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she then had she graduated and she developed her own and was called soul directed energy healing. And so we were accessing people's in the outer realms, we were accessing soul level, entering into Christ consciousness. So we were moving out into those fields and
Mm.
bringing and using ourselves as conduits, as bring that energy in, and then dealing with the chakra systems, which then are connected to the organs. That's how I got into doing medical intuition scans. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think of,
So
but
I mean,
whatever
it's,
Barbara Brennan, what she did probably, I'm sure she did some really good work.
well, I think she was really intuitive. I think all
Was,
the new age, I would, classify, if you had to classify it as new age, it's new age energy work. And
hmm?
it comes from
Yeah,
somewhere, right?
of
It's
course,
it's not invented. And when the Chinese communists took over, um, they destroyed the Taoist adepts. That was
of
part of
course,
their cultural revolution. So there were people who were living in caves, and there were people who were buried underground for long periods of time, who were still alive, and there were incredible chi masters, and the Chinese took it upon themselves, the communists, to kill them all. That they wanted to, and so many of them fled to Taiwan, or they went into hiding somewhere or something. Um, and so then all of this appears in the West. That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
isn't it?
It
Isn't it?
appeared where it could appear. In
Right.
other words, there was a society that would support it, that it wouldn't repress it. So it kind of, in a sense, it found another culture, another place, another time to manifest. And then suddenly you have all these medical intuitives, and who
I
don't
know.
know, they don't know from Qigong or Taoism or anything else, but
No,
it's
no.
it, and they don't really need to necessarily, but it's
Well,
useful to know. It's useful that this is ancient and
mhm.
very grounded.
Well, that to me, that's very important. That would have been something I would have liked to have known prior,
Yeah.
but now I can see that it all works. I mean, I understand it now from this perspective, which gives it much more. I have to be honest, the energy I was experiencing here was profound. It was just, it was amazing when I can say I'm touching Indra's net and I'm pulling those harp strings. There's more energy pounding through my
Mhm.
system.
Sure.
moving through me because I'm truly a conduit then,
Right.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I'm using the source of the universe and earth. So for me as a visual, that really, really helps. And, I'm feeling it energetically. So it's much more
Yeah,
useful.
it's like that energy. It needs physical form in order to manifest. It
Right.
can't just, it doesn't manifest by itself. So when they came and they wiped out the whole culture, and then they went to Tibet, and they killed all those people in Tibet, and just did everything they could to promote a materialistic culture. That all didn't have that energy didn't have a way, didn't have people, it didn't have a culture to manifest.
Right.
So it kind of went underground, so to speak, and then started manifesting. That's how I look at it anyway.
It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing what human beings will do to keep the truth of what is.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are all kinds of forces, and but the fact that it always finds a way.
Well, right, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That's the power of what I call the truth.
My teacher, Tricia Yu, she's almost 80, and she's suffers terribly from, you know, just tremendous health challenges and pain and this. So, and I really wanted to get from her, her source. Like, she went to China, and Taiwan in the mid 60s. And she was actually the first American woman to go there after World War II.
Wow.
Yeah. And they only let her in because they didn't know she was Western. She was married to a guy named Bob Yu,
Yeah.
who looks Chinese. And he said, well, he went there to study. And they said, can I bring my wife? And they said, sure. And they just assumed that she was Chinese. Then when she showed up, she was like English Irish, but she found or was found by this Taoist master who had fled to Taiwan, and without ever formally teaching her, he made her his heir.
Because he saw her,
Yeah,
saw clearly
it
was.
was all unspoken. Her Chinese wasn't very good, and plus he was such a high master that you didn't speak to him. You listened to him. You didn't like talk to him or ask questions or anything. And he told her to go back to America and teach.
That was that.
Pretty much. And so she studied Tai Chi, and but not with him, but she learned from other people. And he just kind of transmitted all this power to her.
Well, could you feel the transmission through her with
Could
what you
I?
were?
Could somebody?
Yes,
Oh, sure.
of course.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah. But she's at a loss to describe anything but how she learned Tai Chi, which is very straightforward. But just this, she was made an heir, his heir.
Oh. And
Yeah.
then now is going to be hers, all her students.
Well, she's taught to a lot of people,
Right.
but I was really wanting to get, I have her folder right here. I was wanting to get as much information as I could about her teacher, Lo Pejung,
Oh, right. Right.
and there's just hardly anything there. It's just, well, he took me, he did a ceremony and, made her his heir, and that was that. The rest of it
It,
just took off on its own.
that's that initiation process kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. But she didn't like train with him a long time, and he gave her all these secrets, and he he saw who she was and he made, yeah, just like that. So I think, yeah, yeah, yeah. He died quite a long time ago, but she
Mhm.
still has access to him.
Oh, I imagine she does.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't she?
yeah, yeah. So she's a direct link, from the east to the west.
Yeah.
She's a direct link. And she says she had past lives in Taoist China.
Well, that makes sense
And
to
she
me.
was born in Colorado, I mean, you know, yeah,
She's born in Kansas.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
No wonder you mention her with such respect and
oh
honor.
yeah, well she's a dear friend of mine. And she doesn't teach anymore.
Well,
So I do.
well, thank you for that. Yeah, because the energy that you're offering to us in your teaching is something that can be experienced directly, Stephen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It is.
yeah, it is. People think that their experiences kind of don't count because they're not sitting and meditating. But they do count. It's real, It's
Uh,
Buddhists are like that.
Buddhists are like,
Buddhists are like that, yeah. They haven't, the body hasn't been completely integrated into that.
it's, you know, what I was thinking was what I experienced tonight while this was happening in this energy experiencing I'm experiencing in my full body. I don't use my full body when I'm doing healing work.
No?
Well, I open up as a conduit. I don't know what I'm using other than I know it's moving through my heart and my
Right,
hand.
right, 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 right.
So, but if I can have that experience of really just using all of it,
Yeah,
I think it would be very different
okay.
to
I
me.
can't speak to that, because
Yeah, I think it will
yeah.
be. It will be. And again, in being able to move the energy in the fields such as we're doing, I think
Well,
I
you're
feel
obviously
like it
doing it.
translates.
You're doing it
I
right
am.
because
Well,
you haven't burned out.
oh
So
no,
my daughter burned out.
she did?
Yeah. And many of those young women, who were in their 20s, 30s, and they got into it and they were intuitive and they were good at it. So many of them burned out because they weren't using their feet. They weren't
They
grounded.
were earthing.
Yeah,
Okay.
right, right. And it burned them out. She did a lot of really good work. She healed a lot of people. She worked for GHC. She had a white coat and an office, and she
Oh
was
yeah,
on.
I almost did that once when they first started. They opened it. I'm like, nah, I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, she
but
did that.
that was a good experience for people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but it burned. But there were other reasons. I mean, she had children, and there were other things. But she burned out, and I'm just saying you haven't burned out. So
No,
clearly
no.
you're doing it. You're doing it right. I mean, you're doing it in a way that's
Well,
sustainable.
yeah, people are getting some healing.
Yeah. Well, great. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm so glad you were here tonight. And I actually,
Yeah,
quite
me too.
honestly, had no idea where this was going to go.
I
But
think it was brilliant.
good.
Well,
Well,
I wanted it. I needed it. It's helpful.
all right. Well, thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, I'm going to be emailing you too as soon as I can find a time. I'm going to be coming to Madison.
Oh, cool. All right. We'll set
Yeah.
up a date.
Okay. All right. Take